everybody, I'm Leigh-Ann, back with week 3 of the Torc case study. So I'm glad to see you guys back here. Let me know how your week 1 went and your week 2 went down in the comments if you already did week 1 and week 2. If you haven't, make sure that you head over to week 1 and week 2 so you know where we're at and how to keep up with us, okay? So I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of review about my week 2. Now, usually I will usually do a short video after I do my next week's, just to let you guys know how my week went, but I'm just gonna do it in this whole video this time. And I promise I'm gonna keep it short. Today we're only gonna learn 4 different things, and we're gonna be talking about consequences today. My week 2 with Torc, remember we talked about anger management before? And so actually I think that my week 2 went really great. I generally don't let my anger get the best of me when it comes to parenting. Now, mind you, I do have my slip-ups and I do get angry. I'm human. Yes, I get mad at my kids. There's a lot of them, so it's really hard not to. But I think that this week I kept my anger under control very, very well. And I just remembered some of those tips that we learned in week 2. I'm not going to spoil it for those of you who have not seen it, so make sure you go back and check that out. I will link it below in the playlist. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into week 3. Okay, so this is, well, I had it written down as my number 3 tip, but it's actually my number 1 tip because it's going to lead into the other ones. So I can't get it out. The number 1 tip is going to be, remember that consequences are good and they're for bad. Basically, consequences are cause and effect. So think of it that way. So you have to remember that when your child does something good, you recognize it just as much as when they do something bad. So if you want them to do something, you need to remind them that, hey, you can do this for me for free or for a fee, that fee being that consequence, or for free because I asked you. And then also they have 2 choices with everything. So if I say, daughter, go clean your room, and she doesn't want to, well, you know what? You've got consequences if you don't want to. Now I tell her, hey, you can do it for free because I'm asking you to, or you can do it for a fee, and whatever that fee may be, and that may be her phone, or it may be an extra or early bedtime. She's a preteen, so it's kind of hard with her, but usually something like an earlier bedtime will kind of get her to do what I want her to do. And then I set her that time limit as well. I need you to get this done in an hour or less, and then we move on from there. So just remember, so once she finishes, I'm sorry, I moved too quickly, my brain was going crazy. Remember that when she finishes cleaning her room, I need to reward her for that. So I need to say, hey, you know, I really appreciate that you made the choice to clean your room, because remember that everything is a choice. Cause and effect, choices, they all kind of tie in together. So I say, well, I really appreciate you cleaning your room. And some people may say, well, you can't reward them for doing something they're already supposed to be doing anyway, but you can, because you're gonna get on to them if they don't and give them consequences. So make sure that you give them rewards for when they do. So I may say, hey, you did such a good job. You did it within that hour, or you still have 30 minutes left. You did such a good job. I'm gonna give you, let's see, an extra hour of screen time, because I have the app on their phone where they get screen time. They hate it. But I may say you get an extra hour of screen time. So that gives her that cause and effect and gives her the desire to make a good choice, that good and bad that we talk about with that Stop, Think, and Decide module. I'll make sure I link that below for those of you who don't know what that is, but it gives her a choice. She gets to choose good or bad. On to my next one. So number 2 is, when you're giving consequences, make sure that you're asking open-ended questions. What? Why? I know. Okay, I'm gonna tell you why. When you ask open-ended questions, it makes your child feel like you're hearing them. They feel like their input is important to you. And that creates strong, powerful, empowered adults later on. because we don't want to discourage our children. The last thing we want to do is make them feel bad about themselves or about their choices. So we want to get them to do the desired behavior, or to present that desired behavior and do what we need them to do. But we want to make sure that we're asking them open-ended questions so that we can get them to that point. Because if you're closing off, if you're saying go clean your room, or you didn't clean your room so now you're gonna be in trouble or lose the game, it doesn't really give them a chance to have any input. And they're little people, they're little humans. So you have to give them a chance to be heard as well. So you may say, I need you guys to go clean your room and then make sure that all the dirty clothes are in the laundry room. Then you're gonna say, does anybody have any questions? This also gains understanding, and that way you make sure that they understand what they're doing, the assignment that you have given them. They know what they're supposed to do and how they're supposed to do it. And then if they didn't do it properly, you can go back and say, well, remember that you told me that you understood. You repeated it back to me. I asked if you had any more questions, and you did or you didn't. We talked about this, so I don't understand why you didn't get it done. And then you have to remind them that it's for free or for a fee. Now for me, that's that warning that I talked about before. Giving a warning, that's that warning. Now we need to go get it done, because we're either gonna make a good choice or bad choices. That effect of what's happening going to be good or bad. So, oh gosh, you cleaned your room, good job, let's go color together. Or gosh, you know, we talked about this, you didn't get it done, or you didn't get it done in the time that I gave you. So now I'm gonna take away all of your Legos for the day. It's really hard coming up with consequences. I will say that it's very hard sometimes coming up with consequences, but that's one reason why we actually came up with the Race to Discipline game, and I'm going to link that below as well. I'm going to be putting it on my site. It's probably going to be available for pre-order, because I don't think that it will actually be done out of production for at least another month. But I will put it at least for pre-order on my website, so that you guys can go ahead and be the first ones to get that. And if you are the first one to get that game, what I'll do is I'll give it to you guys for half the price. So I'm probably gonna think about doing it for about 20, but if you go ahead and head over and get yours pre-ordered now, I'll go ahead and give it to you for 10, and I'll send you a download for our Race to Discipline cards. And with those cards, those cards are actually good for consequences. They are good for taking the time out to redirect in case of like a meltdown or something, or a fight. They're really great for that. They're things like run around the house 5 times, or do jumping jacks, or do 10 sit-ups. Whatever takes the negative behavior and makes it gives a chance for it to be a positive behavior. All right, so also another thing is you need to be clear. So I had to check my notes. You need to be clear about the choices, the 2 choices that you get, or the choice that you give, and the 2 consequences. Oh, sorry, I wrote that wrong. Ignore that. You need to be clear about the objective and the consequences, and make sure that you're giving 2 choices as far as that consequence. And that can be the good or and the bad, or it can be whatever you decide for it to be. And with that fee or free, then you have to say, okay, if it gets done in this time period, this is what you get, or if it doesn't, this is what happens. And then again, you want to make sure that you ask that open-ended question, are there any more questions about this? And then my very last one. This is the most important one. I'm so glad you guys stayed tuned for this one. If you did, make sure that you like, subscribe, and ring that little bell so that you can stay notified when we post a new video. So this last one is just to remember that everything is a learning experience. It's not just for them that they're learning, it's also for you. You're learning too. Nobody is a perfect parent. We're all still learning. I'm still learning. And just remember that you don't have to make it a bad thing. It's just them learning. When you're doing the choices and the 2 consequences, you're giving them a chance to decide who they're gonna be as a person. And things like, if you tell them to pick up their dirty clothes on the floor and they decided that they weren't gonna do that, and you gave them their 2 chances and you gave them their 2 consequences, whatever, you gave them their chance and their consequences, and they still haven't gotten it done yet, don't do that for them. Use this as a learning experience, because right now they're trying to teach you. They're trying to teach you a lesson. Well, if I don't pick it up, she's gonna pick it up because she wants it done. That actually, what's the word I'm looking for? It causes them to regress. It does not show progress with that. It does not teach them progress, because you're just gonna get mad, out of control, and go do it for them. We don't want that. Letting them take that time to stop and think and then decide gives them that chance to go back to it after the consequence, or however you decide to do your discipline. It gives them a chance to go back to that and then redo, because we always have second chances in life. So they have a second chance to go back, pick up what's theirs, and then put it in the dirty clothes and move on from there. And then we forget about whatever the problem was. So just make sure that you do those open-ended questions. You remember that everyone is a learning experience, because if you do those things for them, they're not gonna learn. Also, make sure that you are very clear about your 2 consequences. I keep stuttering over that in the whole video, but 2 consequences for whatever the direction is. So you have 2 choices. This is your fee. And then also remember that consequences are good and bad. Consequences are not just bad, cause and effect. So if you do something good, you get something good. If you do something bad, you get something undesirable. I'm not gonna use the word bad, actually. If you do something undesirable, you're gonna get something undesirable. And I say that because I do not believe that children are inherently bad. I believe that children are children and they're learning, and that it's our job to teach them and love them. All right, guys, that's all I have for you guys for week 3. Let me know what you thought about this video in the comments below. And also let me know what you thought about week 1 and week 2 in the comments below as well. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. Till next time.